Belle?
Stunning, huh?
Grazie.
Thank you.
Un applauso a chi ha fatto
Thank you. I think it's an applause that goes to the person who filmed this wonderful footage. So let's start with an important concept, and that is when we started with this project, our idea was to offer on this car a concentrate of Alfa Romeo values, because we wanted to rebuild our links with existing Alfisti, and we wanted to create a new generation of Alfisti. And the new generation I'm thinking of are young drivers who in the MiTo can find a model that's close to their taste but also to their wallets. I think of women too. Women today, as you know better than I do, are the direct or indirect arbiters in the success of many cars, especially in this particular segment. Obviously, if Alfa Romeo decides to produce a compact car, it obviously decides to make the sportiest compact ever. I think that's a rather self-evident and obvious concept, but the concept of sportiness over the last few years, as we know, has evolved because of regulations, traffic conditions, and it's a concept which no longer merely has to do with the size of the engine or the horsepower of a car. If I think of current trends, I think of downsizing, for instance, that we'll be coming back to later, the weight-to-power ratio, the search for cutting-edge technology that makes the difference in terms of safety and eco-friendliness. So it's a very advanced concept of sportiness that has developed over the last few years. But if you think about all this, these are all typical Alfa Romeo concepts, and they're all features of the MiTo. Let me say it differently. The magic of all this process is that we, in trying to keep up with contemporary trends, are doing no more than doing what Alfa has always done, has always known how to do so well, and that really is the magic in what we've done, and the element of luck that we have developed in developing the car. Let's start to say something about the car itself, and it's the head of the group engineering who will be guiding us. His name is Harold Wester, as many of you know, and he will be our technical guide into the new model.
A
real Alfa in just 4 Alfas. That's what we aimed for, and that's what we got. The sportiest compact ever. Alfa is movement, so it's when you're at the steering wheel that you can tell it's an Alfa. On the MiTo, we find all the elements that make Alfa's steering so agile. An excellent weight-to-power ratio, 1/3 better than the class average, a barrel center close to the roll axis to provide optimal dynamic response, and mechanicals that can handle very safely even sudden swerves and maneuvers. The rear shock absorbers with rebound springs and the high resistant rear torsion beam reduce roll without detracting from comfort. A specific dome pad on the front suspension minimizes camber variations, maintaining the unsuspended masses low. The steering ratio is extremely direct and trajectories are very neutral. The 4 oversized disc brakes ensure outstanding braking distance, 34 meters from 100 to 0 kilometers an hour. We've created a dynamic layout that's that of an authentic sports car, and this just by working on the mechanical parameters of the car. But electronics gave us the option to do even more than that. Now, if you don't mind, before going into the electronics of the car, I'd like to point out a couple of things. Those of you who know about Alfa's history know that Alfa's engineering philosophy has always focused on a certain taste for inventiveness, innovation, problem-solving details. And on the MiTo too, we've tried to follow the same philosophy, which is something of a tradition for our brand. And this is something we find very clearly in the Alfa Romeo MiTo. For instance, the dampers with the rebound springs that we just heard about from Harold in the video. And this is an idea, a technological idea that Philippe worked on, Philippe Krief, and perhaps he could tell us something more about these rebound springs and their advantages. Yes, it's an idea I'd been thinking about for some time. The idea was to reduce the rear axle roll without adding an anti-roll bar with its weight, and we thought to add this spring that you see inside the damper, and when the wheel rebounds, it works, it increases the rigidity of the axle and reduces the roll. This is for the rear axle. And then a similar concept was adopted for the other, that is the same spring that works in the same way. And this helps you keep the car flat when you enter bends, like a go-kart. Yes, so to translate all this into practice, this means that with this sort of technology, for instance, if we go to Balocco, the proving ground, the MiTo Alfa course in Balocco, you were telling me that it gives you an advantage. Yes, compared to another compact sports car of the group, you can have a gain of 4 or 5 seconds. And I think you'll all realize this tomorrow during the test drive. Yes, what Krief's saying, he's the team expert, he's saying that our goal with this car, the goal was to have the car with the best handling in its class, and so the dampers with their rebound springs have that purpose amongst others. And then we also worked on the electronics. Well, perhaps we'll go back to electronics and hear what Harold has to tell us about, and then we'll come back to you.